um, so let's start with first things first, right? My name is Leonila Campos. I am a registered dietitian, and I've been a dietitian for, it's going to be 8 years next month. So that's exciting. Can't believe it's been that long. But I wanted to do this class to talk more about the nutrition basics to help you transform your journey depending on what your goals are. And so I created this method that I essentially use with all my patients to help them get started with their goals. And so I call it the 3-2-1 method. And here's just a little bit of background on that. And it's just basically a trick, a tool that I use. I guess I shouldn't call it a trick because it's not a trick. It's a tool that I use to help my patients understand how to create balanced meals, right? Because a lot of the times as practitioners or as dietitians, we use that word often, oh, let's just have balanced meals. But we don't think about that not everybody knows what that is. And so with just having that methodology, just having that method, it really helps us to understand what essentially that is, right? So the 3-2-1 method, what it is to aim for at least 3 ounces of protein with each meal. And it's more so around 20-ish to 30 grams of protein. And protein is one of those macronutrients that helps us to feel satiated longer. And so if we start our day with no protein at all, then what happens is that we get hungrier sooner. And the other thing too that happens is that our blood sugars go in like a roller coaster way, right? Up and down, up and down. Instead of being more stable, by adding the protein really helps with that. And so number 3 is to aim for at least 3 ounces of protein with each meal. And that protein could, it doesn't matter what protein you choose. Ideally, we want lean sources of protein, right? Just to protect our heart from high levels of cholesterol. But you can choose, salmon, which is great for omega-3. You can choose chicken, right? Chicken breast is a lean source. You can do tuna, you can do eggs. For example, in the morning, right, you can do eggs and egg whites as a combination, and you can have a high protein breakfast. But you can also add plant sources of protein, right? You can add tofu, you can add tempeh, you can add seitan. You can do a tofu scramble first thing in the morning, right, or for your first meal. And it doesn't have to be first thing in the morning, right? It could be at 10 in the morning. But that's the idea, is to have a high protein meal or a high protein breakfast so you can start your day with a sustainable energy. And then throughout the day, you're having high protein meals, right, for your lunch and your dinner, again, for that sustainability of energy. So number 3 is aim for at least 3 ounces of protein with each meal. You can choose the protein that you desire. And then number 2 is to aim for at least 2 cups of non-starchy vegetables with each meal. Now your non-starchy vegetables are, and let me share my screen. Share. Okay, wonderful. So we were on number 2, right? From our 3-2-1 method. So number 2, aim for at least 2 cups of non-starchy veggies with each meal. Think of the rainbow, right? We want to add a variety of vegetables. Now, we wonder, okay, why is that? Vegetables are vegetables, but actually, every color will give you a different type of phytonutrient, right? Which is, think of it as an antioxidant. Okay, so here we are. I'm hoping that in using this platform is a lot easier, and that we don't have any problems. So let me just go here so I can share my screen with you. And here, okay, so here we go. In that you're able to see the screen. Okay, so we were on number 1. We go, okay. So we talked about visualizing your meals, right? What balanced meals would look like on your case. Now, I gave you an example of salmon, but maybe let's take a look at it, a plant-based example, right? So maybe we want to use tofu right? A lot of times I do hear this often, tofu is so flavorless. I don't know how to cook tofu. And I'm actually probably going to create a class on how to cook tofu. That's another story for another day. And so, okay, let's just assume, okay, we're going to cook some tofu, right? We add about 3 ounces of it. You can cut it into cubes, saute it for, I don't know, about 3 to 5 minutes. Then add a mix of stir-fry veggies like cauliflower and kale and carrots and broccoli if you like broccoli. Add it to your tofu, saute it for a little longer, add the herbs and spices that you enjoy. And then you can add, you can pre-cook some rice if you need to, or if you're like, oh, I don't have time, let me just buy one that is pre-cooked and just warm it up in the microwave, and that's fine too, right? So think of the challenges that maybe prevent you from creating your balanced meals on a day-to-day basis. Because those challenges, once you know what the challenges are, then now you can create a plan to remove those challenges or obstacles. So, for example, if time is one of them, right? There's not a rule that says, oh no, you should not buy pre-cooked rice, right? Or you should not buy pre-cut veggies. It's actually convenient, right? And that's totally fine. And that's going to cut down time when you're meal prepping or you're prepping your meal. So, for example, let me see if I can move these here so I can see better. Perfect, much better. And so one example that I usually like to give my patients is if you know that, okay, I'm not making my meals because it's just so time consuming. Now let's figure out, okay, we figure out one of the challenges, right? Timing. It takes so much time to meal prep. Now let's figure out, okay, where are we spending most of the time while we meal prep? Is it because we have to pre-cook the meats? Is it, or the protein sources? Is it because it's taking longer to cook the grains or chop the vegetables? Whatever the challenge is in your case, then we have to address that, right? We have to address the obstacle. So for example, it takes me so much time to, let's say, pre-cut the vegetables, right? I don't like to meal prep ahead of time. I want to make my meals the day of, but it takes me so much time to pre-cut the vegetables. Okay, let's create a plan in that case, right? Okay, how about if, even though you're not meal prepping your meals on Sundays or on the weekend, but can we pre-cut those vegetables that you already know you're going to use for your meals? Have them ready in your fridge in the little Ziploc bags. You can even label them, right? And that can help you to save some time. The meals that I usually use, right, in my case, as an example, they're so simple. Like, literally takes me about no more than 10 minutes to cook them, especially my lunches, because again, I don't, just like all of you, I'm not, I don't have a lot of time. So I don't want to compromise my nutrition and the balancing of my meals, but I also don't want to spend so much time doing it. So those are some of the tips that can help you. But the number one thing that you got to do is, okay, where are the obstacles, or what are the obstacles and challenges? So that way it can help me to create a plan that way, and be able to create these meals, these balanced meals. So I want you to take on the challenge, right? Conquer one meal at a time. The other thing too that you have to look at is a lot of the times when we are thinking about making a change is that we are so eager to do it. And a lot of the times we want to change every single meal, right? And we struggle so much that at the end of the day, we decide not to do anything at all because we are so overwhelmed. So choose the easiest meal for you that you can change, that you can modify, or make it more balanced. And work on that meal for a couple weeks, right? Until you feel that, okay, this meal is balanced, right? Let me now do the second easiest meal and leave the third meal until, maybe a month or so. But obviously, if you can do those changes right away, then, go at your own pace. But the challenge for you is choose the easiest meal that you want to change and focus on that 3-2-1 method, right? At least 3 ounces of protein, at least 2 cups of veggies with that meal and 1 serving of a carbohydrate, a starch, a grain. You can even add a fruit if you like, or maybe you want to do a healthy fat like avocados, nuts, or seeds, and that's totally fine. But the main two groups that you always want to add is a protein and a vegetable. Again, because that helps with the sustainability of energy and it helps you to feel satiated longer. So take on that challenge. You can start today, but you can start this week if you like. You have for notes, right? You can download that. You can use it for our second class tomorrow, because the second class is there too. I'll email that as well if you need to. But I want to give you some examples, some visuals, just so that way you can have some ideas for yourself and you get your own thoughts going. So here's an example of a balanced breakfast, right? Kind of using the 3-2-1 method. We have as a protein source scrambled tofu with some tomatoes and some arugula on a whole grain bread. You don't have to do tofu. You can do eggs and egg whites, right? Scramble them up. Add some of those tomatoes and some leafy greens if you like, and a whole grain bread. And you have a balanced breakfast, right? Or if you don't want it for breakfast, you can have it, for in the morning whenever you have, when you start to get hungry. Here is an example of a balanced lunch, right? You have your about 3 ounces or so of chicken, your mixed veggies, about 2 cups, and you have your 1 serving of rice. Now, your meals don't have to be boring or don't have to be flavorless, right? A lot of the times I hear that, oh, my meals are so tasteless, but they don't have to be. Herbs and spices, when you think about them, they are considered free foods because they don't add like extra calories or extra macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fats, but they add so much flavor, right? And so if you want to chop up some cilantro and add it to your rice with some lemon, that changes the flavor and it's like it kind of spices up your food and makes it more lively. You can do that, right? You can add some Italian seasoning to your veggies, or you can marinate your chicken with, a combination of different herbs and spices. And you can do that too. So your meals don't have to be boring, right? You can add some of those herbs and spices to bring out the flavors of the foods. Another variation of a balanced lunch could be maybe you want to do some fish, right? Salmon with a mix of veggies, whatever veggies you like, bell peppers or zucchini, chayote, or nopales if you like, with brown rice or quinoa or barley, tortillas or beans, right? That is a combination of carbohydrates and protein. Then that's another option too. Here's an example of a balanced dinner, right? You have your 2 different types of veggies, bell peppers and broccoli, and your chicken topped with some sesame seeds and some rice, right? And sesame seeds actually bring a lot of flavor to foods too, especially if they're toasted. Then you can add that as well, right? And it's a little bit of crunchiness, which is pretty good. Or you can do some whole grain noodles. Now you also can find a high protein pasta, high protein noodles that will add extra protein and fiber, plus the protein that you're consuming, depending if it's plant-based or animal-based in your vegetables, and you have a really well-balanced meal that you're gonna feel satiated, and you're gonna have those sustainable energy levels too. But it could be, a tofu stir fry, right? Which is one of my go-to meals. It's so easy for me that I can just, crumble up some tofu, add some of those stir fry veggies, add some soba noodles that I pre-cook ahead of time, and then I add some of everything but the bagel seasoning, and it brings so much flavor. So then that's another option that you can add. Now, why the 3-2-1 method? And I kind of talked about this already at the beginning, but it is such a simple yet effective technique that can help us remember the necessary food components to add into each meal. regardless of what the meal is, or regardless of where we are eating that meal, right? You can use this method even when you eat out, because mostly at a sit-down restaurant, right? So if you go to a restaurant and you say, okay, I want to have a grilled piece of chicken, 2 sides of vegetables, and a side of rice. That is a balanced meal, right? You're having your protein, your vegetables, and your carbohydrates. Maybe you want to go to a Mexican restaurant and they have chicken fajitas, right? Usually the chicken fajitas are going to come with vegetables. So you have chicken fajitas with your vegetables. If there's not enough, you can always request to add more vegetables, right? They can absolutely do that. They might charge you for a little bit extra. And that's, up to you if you want to do that. And then you get your tortillas, right? And you can decide, okay, do I want to have more tortillas, or, 1 or 2 tortillas and add some rice and beans? And that's an option. So you can essentially use this method anywhere you go, even when you're, at a party or a holiday. Usually, for the most part, there's going to be some kind of protein. Maybe the challenge might be a little bit on the vegetables, but if you know that ahead of time, what you can do is say, okay, I'm going to take a side of veggies, right, that I can also eat, and maybe there's someone else that also enjoys the vegetables, and you can have them as well. Again, the method also prioritizes a balanced nutrition without imposing restrictions, right? I'm not telling you never eat that food, or if you're following this method, don't eat that food. Not at all, right? Think of it as, how can I add more nutrition to my meals, but still enjoy the foods that I like, right? There is that balance as well, which both of them can coexist. We just have to kind of see where we need to balance things out a little bit more. The most important thing is that you're getting a lot of nutrients, right? When you think about your protein, your vegetables, and the other component that you want to add, which is going to help with, again, that sustainability of energy. And if you feel, okay, I'm eating, sleeping well, but I'm still tired throughout the day, right? Then that's where we can look at, okay, how are your meals? Are you starting your day with a high protein breakfast or a high protein meal? It doesn't have to be breakfast, but your first meal, is it a high protein meal that is going to maintain those energy levels more stable, instead of having this sugar spike, right? And now that your body has to do this whole process of releasing the insulin from your pancreas to bring those insulin levels down, and now you're going to be hungrier because that was digested and stored, right? Instead of like a steady rise without having to release so much insulin to bring those blood sugar levels down right away. One of the reasons why you want a high protein first meal. So how about snacks, right? I like to snack. The method, it's almost the same with your snacks. The only difference is that we go more into like a 1-to-1 ratio, right? The 1-to-1 method, because it's going to involve, in your snacks, you want to always add either a protein or a healthy fat, and you can decide if the second one is a fruit or a vegetable, some kind of carbohydrate like pretzels or crackers, cookies if you like. But you have to have a protein or a healthy fat for that same reason of why you are adding protein to your other meals, to have that stability of blood sugars, but also to get that sustainability of energy, right? So one example, we can do 1 ounce of nuts, right, with a hard-boiled egg. You have a healthy fat and you have a protein. Or you can do 1 ounce of nuts and some grapes, right? You have a fruit and a healthy fat. You can do a hard-boiled egg with some cucumbers or some carrots. Or you can do a cucumber, right, with some edamame. Edamame is high in protein. Or you can do some avocado, right, with some chips, some whole grain chips, or regular chips if you like, 1 ounce or 1 serving. And you have the healthy fat with the avocado. Or you can do pretzels and string cheese, right, or yogurt and some nuts or some fruit. And there's that balance snack. Because you can absolutely have 1 apple right? And it is so healthy and you're getting nutrients from it. But if you don't balance that apple, right, and you're hungry, you eat the apple, and half an hour later or 1 hour later, you're going to be hungry again, right? Because we are able to digest that more at a quicker rate versus adding a protein or a healthy fat. So, for example, apple and peanut butter, or apple and string cheese, right? It's going to keep you full a little longer, or hopefully hold you up until your next meal. So that's how you can create your balanced snacks, right? Keeping in mind the protein and the healthy fat always, and you can add the second group, whatever you want to add, a fruit, or a vegetable, or a grain, or a cookie. I have some patients sometimes tell me, at the end of the day, I really want to have a cookie, right? But then I almost feel like I want to have the entire box of cookies. And that's another, thing that we have to talk about. But if that is happening, the first thing that we have to look at is, am I having well-balanced meals throughout the day? And the other thing too is, can we have that cookie with a healthy fat or a protein, right? Okay, what does that look like? Okay, a cookie with maybe some Greek yogurt, right? Or a cookie with a glass, 8 ounces of soy milk, right? It's going to give you about 8 grams of protein. Or a cookie with maybe 1 ounce of healthy fats, right? You have that a healthy fat in the almonds or the nuts, and that can help with that sustainability, right? Um, and obviously there's more to it, but that would be like the first thing that I would suggest. So here are some examples of balanced snacks, right? Healthy fat in a whole grain could be an avocado toast with a little bit of everything but the pickle seasoning, a rice cake with a nut butter, with a piece of toast with nut butter, or pretzels and almonds. That's an example there. Or you can combine a healthy fat with a fruit, right? We talked about Brazil nuts and grapes, or apple and peanut butter, or um, pepitas, I think that's what it is, or pumpkin seeds and fruit, or a trail mix, right? You can even add some chocolate chips to your trail mix, right? If you're like, oh, I really want something sweet, but balance it out that way, right? You have some dry fruit with your nuts and your seeds, and a few of the chocolate chips, right? Just to get, because you want to have something sparky. um, Healthy fat and veggies, right? You have guacamole with like different types of vegetables, or tortilla chips with guacamole, or a pico de gallo. You can add some avocado to that, celery and peanut butter, or any other kind of nut butter, or you can have cucumber and some other type of seeds. There's so many seeds out there, so you can try different ones if you like, or cashew nuts and snap peas, right? That's another example of a healthy fat in a vegetable. Protein in a whole grain, right? Could be one hard-boiled egg on a piece of toast, or a Greek yogurt with some granola, tuna with some crackers, or like a slice of bread with some sliced deli meat. Here's what protein in a fruit would look like, right? Some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt with mixed fruit, prosciutto and cantaloupe or melon. This is more like an Italian snack, or edamame with some tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, or any other fruit that you want to add. Protein and veggies, right? We have chickpeas with some bell peppers, or hummus with carrots. Or you can do roll up deli meat with like chopped veggies, or a hard-boiled egg with like a side salad if you want to. Or you can even be like, you can add feta cheese to it if you like, or something along those lines. So here are some examples, right? Again, this handout, this workbook, is available to you for free. You can download it if you like. If you don't have it, just let me know. I can email it to you, or I can get it to you in some other way if you don't want it via email. And you can use it to plan your meals. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about exercise, right? And we're going to create a plan for you in terms of exercise and different things that you can do to help you with your exercise. So I want to go back to this page here, right? Take on the challenge and conquer one meal at a time. If you feel that taking a whole meal, it's a lot of work, or one of the ways that I like to see how ready my patients are is by measuring the level of confidence, right? So you can do this with anything that you're going to start doing or anything that you do to see how ready you are, how confident you are at being able to do that specific task, goal, or actionable step. So ask yourself, how ready am I? How confident am I at being able to do that specific task on a scale from 0 to 10? 0 is like, I'm not confident at all. And 10 is like, I'm 100% confident. If you're in there around 8 or 9, then it's perfect. You go for it. 10, usually hardly anybody's in the 10 because that means that we don't need a lot of help. But it could be that you're just so motivated, right? Which is wonderful. But if you're below 7, right, then what we gotta do is simplify that goal, simplify the actionable step, and make it easier, right? So if you check your confidence level again, then you can say, okay, I'm at 8 now, I'm good to go. So for example, if you say, okay, my confidence level, I've been able to change lunch, right, to make it more balanced, to use the 3-2-1 method, is a 6, then ask yourself instead, what other meal or snack I can do to help me bring the confidence level higher. Maybe it's not a meal, maybe it is a snack, right? Could be this way. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that my morning snack is using that method of either one healthy fat or one protein with a fruit or a vegetable. And I am going to plan all my morning snacks for the week, right? How confident am I at being able to do that action step or that goal? And if you say 8, then that's perfect. Focus on that. Focus on that for the next week or so. And then you can get on to the next goal. Hopefully this is helpful. Again, focus on one thing at a time. I do want to do a recap really quick here, just so that way we're on the same page and we are ready and we feel motivated and we can start putting this method in action. So again, the 3-2-1 method is to help you create your meals more balanced, right? To add more nutrients, to give you more energy, more sustainable energy, and help you create those meals in a simple way. So the 3 is aim for at least 3 ounces of protein with each meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you do 3 meals. But make sure that you're having that high protein first thing with your first meal, whatever that meal it is. Then add your 2 cups of vegetables, whatever vegetable you want to enjoy, non-starchy veggie, right? Something that is not a potato, corn, or starch. And then your 1 serving of whole grains or starchy veggies, could be rice, pasta, tortilla noodles, sweet potato, regular potatoes, tortillas. I think I said that already. Or if you're like, well, I want to change things a little bit, but I want to add 1 serving of healthy fat, by avocados, nuts, or seeds, or something like that, or I want to add a fruit, then that's perfectly fine as well. And that's how you want to do your meals. 3-2-1 method, right? 3 ounces, at least 3 ounces of protein, 2 servings of veggies or 2 cups of veggies, 1 serving of your grains or non-starchy veggies or fruit or healthy fats. And give it a try. Like I said, if that's not something you want to focus, that's perfect. That's not a problem. Maybe you want to do your snack, keeping that in mind, right? Protein or healthy fat always, and you can choose the other food group that you want. So that is it. I cannot wait for tomorrow. We are going to, because I have it in Zoom, we're going to go back to Zoom. And if we have more technical issues, we'll just come back here and we'll just do it here. I'll probably, I'll have the link handy just in case we need it. And then we'll go from there. Again, if you have any questions, please, you can send me an email at fueledbyleo.org. No, fueledbyleo@gmail.com. Again, that email is fueledbyleo dietitian@gmail.com. Or if you are on Facebook, you can find me on Facebook as well. But thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate your time, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye for now.